We're the fastest growing mid-tier royalty in the industry. We're on track for 4,000 gold equivalent ounces of production this year. We're growing to 28,000 by 2029. And we have a pipeline that will take us significantly higher than that. And our ambition is to be bigger than both Versamet and Elemental in the next 12 months. Everything's about Pilar because the royalty for Chancery is 8% for 8 years. Pilar is an 80,000 ounce a year business all day long for the many, many years to come. And Chancery will receive 8% of that production for the next 8 years, dropping to 3%. Yeah, Laiva Gold is a beautiful 2.5% life of mine royalty up in central Finland on Laiva Gold, the biggest gold mill in Europe. Gold Road's a beautiful mine that we bought a year ago. I stepped down from the management team and it's our first cash flowing royalty. And we expect a very nice check for the first quarter at the end of this month. Just click on the more button and you'll see the link to chanceryroyalty.com. If you go into that link, just leave your name, email, number, and we'll get back to you on the same day.
Today we're having a chat with Jeremy Gray, CEO of Chancery Royalty. Jeremy, what a fabulous time to have you back on the channel. Lots of updates to go through. But before that, why don't we start with a recap? What is Chancery Royalty all about?
Thanks, Diane. Yeah, great. Chancery Royalty formed 3 months ago. We're the fastest growing mid-tier royalty in the industry. We're on track for 4,000 gold equivalent ounces of production this year. We're growing to 28,000 by 2029. And we have a pipeline that will take us significantly higher than that. And our ambition is to be bigger than both Versamet and Elemental in the next 12 months. And we're in the mood for deals, and we have a phenomenal investor base that have supported us so far in the first 3 months. So imagine what we can achieve in the next 12 months. So really exciting times for Chancery Royalty, which is just purely focused on gold and silver.
Incredibly excited updates there, and we'll talk about your portfolio of assets as it is currently in just a second. But before that, one of the updates is you recently closed your $2 financing, didn't you?
Yes, phenomenal response. We raised $14 million at $2 a share. We now have 39 million shares out. The response, and I just want to thank everyone who supported us in that $2 round. We had over 400 new investors join the register, sophisticated mum and dad investors. And we also had our first institution ever in our last 7 years that we've been on this journey. Our first institution joined the register, a very well-known London fund that we'll maybe one day announce. So that's the first of, I think, many new institutions joining us as we go to a public event in the next 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, definitely. And that's also something we should talk about. But before that, you also added a new royalty. I believe it's an exploration play, isn't it?
Yes. Now, obviously, Chancery, as you know, is focused on producing royalties. But, when Alan Martin from Eagle Exploration in Papua New Guinea came to me a month ago, it sort of gave me goosebumps because it's exactly 10 years since we were the largest investor in K92. We gave them $11 million US dollars of equity of royalty and stream. And when Alan came to me and said, I think I've got the next K92, our geologist looked at it. And so we've taken a stake in Eagle Exploration, which is in the highlands. It's about to drill. And we have an option on a 1% life of mine royalty on that beautiful high-grade target, which we think could be 5 to 10 million ounce target. And drilling will start in the next sort of 2 to 3 months. So a little different to what we're used to, which is to focus on production. But it's nice to have something, a big story back again in Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Jeremy, you are also participating on the equity side, so that shows that modular setup that you have here with Chancery Royalty.
Yeah, we learnt that with K92 because when we invested in them, we owned 25% of K92 at an average in price of 18 cents with a full warrant. And today the price is $31. So we learnt that to really give the royalty business the extra leverage is to definitely support your partner with equity up front. Like we did with Kefi in December, we gave them $1 million equity advance before we did the 20 million royalty. And they like it, we like it, and gives us that extra leverage. And so we kind of have a gold fund inside the royalty group, but we'll always attach an equity component to every deal that we do.
That's incredibly interesting, Jeremy, definitely. Can we talk about Kefi for a second? Of course, one of the larger royalties within your portfolio in terms of geos, it can contribute to Chancery Royalty. How much have you allocated right now, and what is the royalty percentage-wise on that project?
Yes, we've completed a 20 million investment in the royalty, and that gives us a 4.8% life of mine for the first 48,000 ounces at $0 an ounce. So if you think about that, we've given $20 million to Kefi. They'll give us 48,000 ounces back at 4.8% of annual production at $0 an ounce. So that's around 30 million payback, and then that drops to 2.8% life of mine thereafter with no cap. So very, very lucrative deal. That's what gives us that huge impetus to get to nearly 30,000 gold equivalent ounces. The team, Mario, Max, Eric, went to Ethiopia 3 weeks ago with Harry for the grand opening with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. It was a very big event, and I think the thing that struck us was just how modern the Addis Ababa is, just everything about that country is booming. And it is without a doubt, Stein, Tulu Kapi, which is the mine that we're funding, is without a doubt the best undeveloped gold mine in Africa. I hand on heart, and it's 170,000 ounces a year, but the resource base is huge. And I think also, just to plug Kefi gold and copper on the London Exchange, I think that might just be the best performing London stock on the London Stock Exchange this year. So just watch that name, Kefi gold and copper.
And like you outlined earlier, of course, you also have an equity position in that company. So Chancery Royalty is part of that move upwards.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Harry was very appreciative when we wrote that check. We went binding on that transaction in just 3 days after the first meeting because we knew the asset well already. And that's the way we roll. We move fast, and that's why we're growing so quickly, and we're beating our competition at most of these transactions. So, yeah, it's really exciting times, and couldn't be a better time for Chancery to be growing in this. Well, let's be honest, it's a mega bull market in both gold and silver, isn't it?
Definitely is. Hey, Jeremy, I know I'm going to get questions in the comment section about this. Previous video, we named 6% royalty, now 4.8%. Can you just quickly explain why that number has changed, even though that royalty hasn't changed for you guys?
Yeah, and a good question. The 6% was based on Kefi enjoying a 20% price participation. So let's say the gold price is 5,000. Kefi would take the first $1,000 under the old arrangement. Now we took that 20% out and we just adjusted the 6 to 4.8, and we take the whole 100% of the gold price. So it's exactly the same gold equivalent ounces. It's exactly the same revenue for us, and a little bit simpler for everyone involved. So 4.8% is the headline number, and it'll drop to 2.8 eventually life of mine. So really amazing royalty. Probably the best I think that the industry will sign this year.
And if I'm not mistaken, Jeremy, you also have an option to acquire an even larger percentage of the royalty, don't you?
Actually, Stein, we decided to drop that because we told Harry honestly that it's not fair to take too much of a royalty on Kefi. The project is world class. The market's super hot. He's already got funding from equity alternatively since that very first discussion back in December. The market's very strong, and we work with our partners. We're not trying to gouge anyone. We're trying to work with them, maximize their cap structure, maximize the returns for their shareholders, and also giving us a really nice return. So we let that one go because there's also so many other opportunities that we're looking at right now. Also in Africa, in fact, we have a team right this week in Senegal, beautiful Senegal in Dakar, outside of Dakar. So we're very much in the mood to do more transactions in Africa. It's been 16 years since I've worked there, and I think that whole continent's about to boom with this gold price going much, much higher.
Excellent. Let's quickly shift to Laiva Gold. I believe you have a very interesting royalty there as well, Jeremy.
Yeah, Laiva Gold is a beautiful 2.5% life of mine royalty up in central Finland on Laiva Gold, the biggest gold mill in Europe. There's no cap and no step down, and I think Laiva we'll find out obviously over time, but you've been to site with Lars. We used to run that business. We bought that royalty off a third-party group that was put it on the market 4 months ago. When it came on the market, of course, we jumped at the opportunity, and I think Laiva will be a sort of a very large, sort of 1 gram operation for the next 40 years, and Chancery will get 2.5% every year of that production. If you can imagine, that's pretty serious return, and a very important part of our portfolio. And importantly, Laiva Gold announced they've actually just submitted all their documentation for listing. So we also think that Laiva Gold will start trading in the next 6 weeks on the TSXV, which is also great news. John Williamson and the team are doing a phenomenal job running the business, and we obviously will benefit from all their hard work with that 2.5% royalty.
And Jeremy, when should we expect this royalty to start contributing GEOs to Chancery Royalty?
I expect Jim and the team up there will be producing around July. So, which is not bad. I think that they're obviously needing to get ready, wait for the snow to melt. They don't like to start the mill in cold conditions. Once the mill is running, there's no problem to run during the winter. But they're just getting all their ducks in the line. I know they're doing a lot of infill drilling, getting the first couple of months of mine plan ready. The mill's in excellent condition, and 6,000 ton a day mill built back in 2012. And it's in absolute mint condition. It is a beautiful, beautiful business. And I think John and Williamson and the team are going to take this to a $10 stock in the next 12 months. So that's also extremely good for Pilar Gold, if you want to talk about Pilar Gold in a minute, because Pilar Gold owns 6 million Laiva shares as part of their spin out from the Pilar business 3 years ago. So those are very, very valuable shares for Pilar as Pilar starts production in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I guess that's exactly the next one we should talk about, Pilar Gold, which is of course a big needle mover for you guys, an 8% royalty that steps down to I believe 3%, but that could, really move the needle on the GEOs, gold equivalent ounces side.
Oh yes, everything's about Pilar right now is front and foremost in my mind, because the royalty for Chancery is 8% for 8 years, and in return, Pilar has received 13 million shares. They also got $2 million of cash. Those shares are very valuable stake for Pilar. They're a blocking stake from Tether or any other group that want to buy Chancery, and then once we go listing. But getting Pilar in production is really very important for us. Israel and the whole team on site are doing a phenomenal job, and the first underground mine that flooded 2 years ago at Pilar has now been fully dewatered, reconditioned. 3 LHDs now operating. We're about to make some orders from Sandvik. From some new fleet. We're modernising our jumbos and also rock bolts. And I think Pilar is an 80,000 ounce a year business all day long for the many, many years to come. And Chancery will receive 8% of that production for the next 8 years, dropping to 3%.
Yeah, that's an incredibly big chunk of gold equivalent ounces that you might expect as Chancery royalty being. What are the timelines, Jeremy, for getting Pilar back into production?
I think literally in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to start moving material. There's blast material because remember, Pilar unexpectedly shut down in March of 24. The the 2 mines that we had operating then flooded. They've been taking time to dewater. But the machinery's all been repaired. We're hiring staff. It used to have 1,000 staff at Pilar. There's 4 million ounces. So as soon as we can produce, we have very large financial institutions that are looking to also provide a debt facility to Pilar that will accelerate the growth to 80,000 ounces a year. So there's a lot of very exciting news to come out of Pilar Gold. It had a tough time of it, but I think it might just be one of the great recoveries and comeback stories of the gold mining industry in the last couple of decades, because it definitely came close to lights out back in middle of 24, but we held on, and now we restructured the balance sheet, and now Pilar's in incredible place now with this $5,000 plus gold.
Yeah, that would be a turnaround for the books, that's for sure. Can we talk about Gold Road for a second? I believe that's your last current royalty. It's an all silver royalty, isn't it?
Yeah, Gold Road's a beautiful mine that we bought a year ago. I stepped down from the management team. Niels and Svein in Norway are now the management team. That lists in Oslo, actually, in May the 19th, Gold Road. It's been producing for 4 months. It's doing around 20 ounces of gold a day, roughly 40 ounces of silver, a 2-to-1 ratio. And that mine will slowly build up to 50 ounces of gold or 100 ounces of silver. And Chancery received 90% of the silver. So each day going forward, we'll get about 90 ounces of silver. At the moment, we're getting 35 to 40 ounces of silver a day. And it's our first cash flowing royalty. And we expect a very nice check for the first quarter at the end of this month. So yeah, it's doing phenomenally well. Yeah, look, I think there's 2 million ounces actually at Gold Road. There's another 6 restart mines that we have in the portfolio that just need some dewatering, but it's a very large system. Yeah, watch out for Gold Road when it lists in Oslo in May the 19th. I think it could be a really stunning success on the Norwegian market. Yeah,
it might be one of the smaller royalties in the portfolio, but still, that amount of ounces of silver can really pack a punch, especially now that we're trading close to $100, $90 ounce silver. That's quite a bit of cash flow.
It sure is, Stein, and we actually chose Gold Road for the silver because we know we wanted to spice up the portfolio. We know silver, we all believe, I think silver's going to 250 in the next 12 months. It obviously has had a bit of a blow off top at the moment. There's been a little bit of settling down, but, it could be very lucrative royalty for us at Chancery Royalty. And it's just great to have, in a tier one American, Arizona, one of the greatest states in America, a beautiful part of America. Anyone who comes to Gold Road, we're in the Oatman. You've been there, Stein, with Lars. It's a beautiful part of America, isn't it?
Oh, that it definitely is. That's for sure. Can we talk about other royalties in the pipeline that you might be working on behind the scenes, Jeremy?
Yeah, so we've got 2 live transactions we're working on right now. One's obviously, I just mentioned, in Senegal, which looks very interesting. Senegal is the home to the big 4 to 5 million ounce type deposits. Endeavour minings of the world are all around that area. Senegal is a great jurisdiction. So there's that one, but there's also one other that we're working on that was part of our family. You've been to Tucano Gold. I can't promise that will come in the portfolio, but when it does, or if it does, then if we put a life of mine royalty on Tucano Gold, we will officially be bigger than both Versamet and bigger than Elemental. So wait and see. Tucano starts production, and I'll send you some new pictures of Tucano, Stein. You've been to site. Our partners, our shareholders have put $70 million into the refurb, and it's ready to turn on in April. So wait and see. Fingers crossed. That could be our next big royalty. And wow, that's something quite special. Tucano Gold. I think Tucano Gold is the richest gold system in Brazil. No disrespect to G Mining Ventures and some great stories like that, but it is a very rich 14-kilometre system, and that would be obviously icing on the cake and take us to a 1.5 to 2 billion market cap.
That would indeed be icing on the cake. Jeremy, perhaps we can talk about a corporate level for a second. How are the finances currently looking? And I believe you are also doing a new financing round at a higher level.
So we're obviously cash flowing from Gold Road. We'll be starting to cash flow from Pilar in the next couple of, well, it'll be a first gold pour will probably be in late April. But we're doing a $3 round, which implies a valuation of just 0.3 price to NAV. Now, you buy Versamet or Elemental, you're going to pay 1.5 plus times. So we're 1/5 the valuation of our 2, I think, nearest peer group. Same with Metala, same with Vox. They trade at a substantial premium to this valuation that we're doing for the $3 round. And the response has been so far incredible. Yeah, I didn't realize with royalty, golden royalties, just how much interest is in this space. And it is, been, I want to thank everyone again for all their tremendous support. You've seen it, Stein. You've seen how much interest has come in this since we started. And I call our supporters the Barmy Army. They've really made a difference to us. They are the ones that allow us to do these very big transformational transactions and to grow so quickly and to really overtake the royalty space. And, Stein, I've said to you before, the reason our competition call themselves royalty companies is because I think a lot of them think they are royalty. They think they're related to Kate and William and Charles, but they're not. And we're simple gold mining folk, and we know how to work with our partners. We know how to develop a really strong relationship. And our intention is to really take this space. We're like the Costco of the industry. We move super fast. We don't take 6 months. I'll give you a great example with Kefi, and one of the reasons we won the Kefi transaction, because there was another royalty group that was about to sign with them. And I looked at the term sheet with Harry and I said, Harry, they're asking for $350,000 for due diligence. I said, I can send my guys there tomorrow. I've got, 4 gold mines ourselves. I'll do it for $0. And I said, Harry, they want $150,000 for legal costs. I said, we've got 5 lawyers in-house. I'll do it for $0. So we're all about making transactions very quick, very easy, not locking them down with very extensive due diligence. And because we know what a good mine is at the end of the day, and letting them get the access to capital so they can start as quickly as possible and take advantage of this incredible gold bull market.
Incredibly exciting, Jeremy. Perhaps you can outline for anyone watching that's interested how they can reach out to you and the rest of the team and potentially participate in Chancery Royalty.
Absolutely. Just click on the More button and you'll see the link to chanceryroyalty.com. If you go into that link, you just leave your name, your email, your number's great. Eric, Max, Jamila, Ed, and myself very happily give you a call. So, we'd love to hear your story. We'd love to know, why you're interested in royalties, and we have just such a broad range of sophisticated mum and dad investors. Everyone in America, Canada, Australia, all over the world who've backed us on this. So yeah, sure, just leave your name, email, number, and we'll get back to you on the same day. And hopefully that will be the beginning of a journey for us and yourselves, because this is not just our only company. We have 5 other companies. We've got 4 gold companies. We have a tungsten producer, and we have many investors who have backed us on all of these. So it's we have to make this a big win for you, so that when we come with the next transaction, the next idea in a year or 2, that you'll come back and back us again. So we're all about giving multiple returns, 5, 10Xs. That's what we're all about. And let's be honest, after this big move in the space, the only real value left, I think, is in the private space. Because a lot of these public names, the gold miners, the royalty guys have done 3, 5, 10X. The private space is still where the bargains are. And at the current $3 round, that is a bargain, considering it's only a 1/5 the valuation of Versamet and Elemental.
Well, Jeremy, that's a perfect segue into my next question. Of course, there is a vision to take this company public and, go from a private valuation at a discount to hopefully a public valuation at a premium. What are the timelines and the plans there to take Chancery Royalty public?
As soon as possible. As soon as possible, Stein. I think it would be 4 to 6 months tops. We are obviously focused on going public because it gives us leverage and paper to then, if we want to do a significant transaction, we can go and then raise big money at substantially higher valuations than today. So we appreciate the importance of being public for a royalty group. It puts everything in fast motion. So yeah, next 4, 6 months, probably most likely Canada, maybe London, but let's wait and see. But Canada is obviously the home of the royalty space, and that's where a lot of people really benchmark the valuations.
Are there any parties already ringing the phone, talking about a potential RTO, reverse takeover?
Absolutely. There's plenty of shells calling us about this. We're waiting for that first call from Tether. As you know, Tether, Stein's been very active buying stakes in most of our peer group. But honestly, we don't really need them. The support we're getting from the Barmy Army, from our investors is to such an extent that we're growing so quickly and we're going to generate so much cash. We like to stay a free agent, but I expect Tether will call us because we're just becoming a dominant player in the space.
Excellent. Well, Jeremy, great. Thank you so much for the update today on Chancery Royalty. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Stein. You're the best, mate. Thank you.